Hey guys, it's Olivia and I'm back with another video. So I started working as an Uber Eats driver in March of 2020. And in March of 2021, I made a video talking about how much money I made my first year as an Uber Eats driver. And this year, I'm going to share with you guys how much money I made my second year as an Uber Eats driver. So the money I'm going to be sharing with you in this video is strictly my gross income. This doesn't include any of my expenses. I'm just going to tell you how much money hit my account in the past year. So I'm just going to tell you guys the number up front. In my second year of Uber Eats driving, from March 11th, 2021 to March 10th, 2022, I made $11,152.88. And so I want to break that number down a little bit further. So of that $11,000, $1,900 was from referrals. So I mentioned this in last year's video, but if you are an Uber Eats driver or an Uber rideshare driver, you get a referral link, and if you refer someone else to be a driver, you get some money in return. And it's different for each referral. I've gotten as little as $10 and as much as $800. So it just depends on if Uber needs drivers when that person signs up, then you're going to get a little bit more. And it also depends on where that person lives. So if someone lives in Toronto, Ontario, I might get more for that person versus someone who lives in Edmonton, Alberta. Like, it just fluctuates as time goes on. So then if of my $11,000, $1,900 was from referrals, then that means the amount of money that I made from my own driving was $9,252.88. So then if we break down the amount of money I made from my driving, $3,714.77 was from tips. So hypothetically, if no one had ever tipped me for the whole entire year and I got no referrals either, I would have made $5,538.11. That's how much Uber was paying if you don't include tips and referrals. $5,500 in a year. So yeah, tips are a very big part of Uber, and that's why this job can be a very different wage depending on where you live. I live in Toronto, Canada, or like in the suburbs of Toronto, but I can get to the city relatively quickly. And so when you're delivering in a major city, there's like a tipping culture per se, and so I get like pretty good tips. And so if you live in a place where tipping culture isn't as high, then your earnings are going to look very different from mine. Then a question people have is, how much mileage did you put on your car? I'm Canadian, so I'm going to tell you in kilometers first. I put 11,071.95 kilometers, which is equivalent to 6,879.79 miles. So honestly, to me, that's not very much. So I put about 11,000 kilometers on my car and I made $11,000. So I essentially made $1 per kilometer. And I know that not all the 11,000 was made from me driving. Some of it was from referrals. But if you just look at it like that, $11,000, 11,000 kilometers, that's not too bad if you ask me. And then if you're curious as to how many deliveries I did this year, I did 1,210. So then if we want to find out the average of how much money I made per delivery, so if we subtract my referral earnings and we just take the amount of money I made from my personal driving, so if we take $9,252.88 and divide it by the 1,210 deliveries I did, I averaged $7.65 per delivery, which isn't too bad. That's including tips and surges and boosts and everything, but making about $7.65 per delivery is pretty good. And then if you want to know my hourly wage of the year, first we need to figure out how many hours I was online driving. So I did all the calculations. I added up all the hours that I was online for, and I was online for 0.0161 hours. And so if we take the $9,252.88 and divide it by how many hours I was online, I was averaging $26.06 an hour for the year, which is, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's almost double minimum wage. So then the last thing I want to do is a quick comparison between my first year doing Uber Eats and my second. So I'm going to be looking down because I have my numbers written out. So last year I made over $16,000, almost $17,000, and this year I made just over $11,000. That's because I was just working less this year. So last year I worked more, I had more free time. This year I was in my final year of university. Things got a lot harder, and so a lot of weeks I was literally working 1 day a week. And so yeah, I just wasn't working as much, so I made less money. So if you want to make more money, you simply just have to put in the time. And then if we move down to referrals, last year I got $2,220 from referrals, and I got 9 referrals last year. And this past year, I got $1,900 from referrals, and I only had 5. So I had 4 less referrals, and I only made $320 less. So if I had gotten 4 more referrals this year, I would have gotten more than $2,200. So basically this year, for some reason, the referrals were worth more. So as I said, last year I made $16,000, this year I made $11,000. So from driving last year, I made $14,521.87. And this year I made just over $9,000. So I made $5,000 more just from driving. Last year in tips, I made $4,568.64. So this year I made about $800 less in tips. Last year I drove 17,362 kilometers, or 10,788.25 miles. So I drove 6,000 less kilometers this year. Last year I did 1,612 deliveries. So this year I did 402 less deliveries because, as I said, I wasn't online as much. And last year I was online for 613.93 hours. And this year I was online for 355. So just over half. So if we do some quick math, I was online for 58% of the time than I was last year, but I made 67% of the amount of money I made last year. So if I had stayed online for as many hours this year as I did last year, I would have made more money. Because if we look at this real quick, the amount of money I made per delivery last year was $9.01, and this year it was only $7.65. However, my hourly wage last year was $23.65, but this year it was $26.06. So even though I was making less per delivery, I was making more per hour, because I was able to do more deliveries per hour. So for last year, if we take the amount of deliveries I did and divide it by the amount of hours I was online, I was doing about 2.6 trips per hour. This year, if we take the amount of trips I did and divide it by the amount of time I was online, I was doing about 3.4 trips per hour. So I was doing approximately 1 more trip per hour this year. So I was making $7.65 per trip, but I was doing 3 of those versus $9 per trip and only doing 2. So I was making less per trip, but more per hour. So if I had worked the amount of hours this year as I did last year, I would have been making bank. Things definitely fluctuate. The amount of money you make per delivery can go up and down. The amount of money you make per hour can go up and down. The amount of tips you get can go up and down. The amount of trips that come through on your phone go up and down. Some days are busier than others. Some areas of the city are busier than others, etc., etc. This job is definitely all over the place. And like you can't ask someone like, oh, how much do you make? And like, I'm going to make the exact same amount, because it's not like a salaried job. Like, oh, I make 40K a year, so you're going to make 40K a year. Like, it's literally different for everyone. Someone else who is an Uber Eats driver in Toronto might have made less than me, and someone else who's an Uber Eats driver in Toronto might have made more than me. It's literally fluctuating every day. But yeah, those are my earnings for my second year as an Uber Eats driver, and a quick comparison to last year. So I made less money this year, but I just worked less this year, which is why. So if you want to make a good amount of money, you simply have to work more hours, which applies in most jobs. So that's all for this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you think your friends will enjoy it, be sure to share it with them. All my social media links will be down below in case you want to follow me on there. Be sure to subscribe to my channel because I make new videos every Monday. Thank you to my channel members, and be sure to check out one of these suggested videos, and I'll see you next Monday with a new video.